First and foremost, all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Stone who taught me this truth and who lead as examples to the flock. Peace and salutations to the Akam out there, pushing this word for sincerity, through sincerity, and, to the men, women, and children who are part of the hopeful elect. Shalom. All right, this lesson, is going to be going into the MOTB, the mark of the beast, and how CBDCs, are being pushed here in Jamaica in a kind of subtle and serpent-like way. One of the mechanisms, by which the powers that be introduce change into society is the Hegelian dialectic. And for brothers or sisters who are unfamiliar with the Hegelian dialectic, it can be summed up in these three words: problem, reaction, solution. A problem is either created or exploited, highlighted, right? And then when people beg for a solution, right, a pre-prepared solution is then offered to the people and they take it. Now, the solution is usually one that would not pass under normal circumstances or under normal conditions. So you need crises, you need times of turmoil, public uncertainty, for people to agree, to these things, And here in Jamaica, CBDCs have been legal tender since 2023. Jamaica was the first country to make central bank digital currencies legal tender within a country, meaning it can be used to settle debts, to pay for goods and services, just like the paper currency, right? So, however, the uptake of the CBDC in Jamaica, which is called JAMDEX, or Jamaica Digital Exchange, has been very, very weak. I think it's like probably less than 1%. Of the population is actually using it in their day-to-day transactions. So what's been happening now is in the news, they've been highlighting more and more the inefficiencies of the current traditional banking system, right? So let's get into it. So so I just typed into Google, just to get AI response, highlighting the cost of traditional banking while CBDC offers a solution as an example of Hegelian dialectic. So it says, the implementation of central bank digital currencies acts as a classic example of the Hegelian dialectic, a process of thesis, right, which is the problem, antithesis, and synthesis, which is the solution. Right, so you have a thesis, you have an antithesis, two of them go against each other, and then you have synthesis at the end, right, where traditional inefficiencies are highlighted to justify a centralized digital alternative. Thesis: the existing system, traditional banking, characterized by high fees, right? And right now, every bank, right, is putting out notices that they're raising fees or they're introducing fees where fees were not there before, right? Slow cross-border transactions, taking 1 to 5 days. You send money from abroad or get money from abroad, it takes a while, right? And high cost for cash maintenance, right? The armored trucks that have to transport cash to and from banks, right? So that's a cost, right? Antithesis: the problem or opposing force. Increased public frustration, right? With these costs, slow transaction speeds, financial exclusion of the unbanked, and the risk and the rise of centralized alternatives. So what happens is that you see more and more in the news, people are frustrated with the ATMs, people are frustrated with the high cost of doing banking, right? Synthesis: the solution. Central bank digital currencies are offered as a solution to promise faster, lower cost, and secure transactions, thereby replacing and transforming the traditional banking model, right? So let's get some of that, right? So the reason I got into this is I was scrolling through YouTube, I found this video here that you see at top, the price of banking convenience, and it was put up by TVJ Smile Jamaica, which is a program that occurs in the mornings, here the local channels here in Jamaica, and it's usually pretty informative, So this gentleman is going into the increased prices of getting conveniences like digital transfers, and stuff like that, paying with your card and all that kind of stuff, you know. So they're showing you, they're putting it in your face, broadcasting it on something that they know people watch a lot of, to say, hey, it's getting more and more expensive to do banking in Jamaica. Here's another one. Some banks have recently introduced or adjusted fees, right? The bank of this a date, and here's the problem. A week ago, this person here, Kalila Reynolds, she said what? Data shows that Jamaica are still choosing cash. So this is not a good thing. And I think I did a video a couple months back where the head of the Bank of Jamaica was saying Jamaica needs to get off of the cash diet. Jamaica is too attached to cash. And this is one way that they're helping to do that, to highlight the inefficiencies and the problem of cash. So we just talked about the cost increasing for doing banking, right? But then there's the recurring issue of the ATMs, right? People complaining about the ATMs either not working or don't have enough money. People in rural areas are complaining about access to ATMs, and being a part of the unbanked, So all these different things are highlighting the downfalls, of the current traditional banking system, right? So how do CBDCs compare? So this is from the Bank of Jamaica website, right? And it says, what is CBDC? CBDC is money issued by the BOJ, the Bank of Jamaica, in digital form. It is not held in a bank account. It is held in a CBDC wallet, right? So it says, is there a cost? There is no cost associated with CBDC or CBDC wallet. What are the advantages? CBDCs will reduce your cost as there are no fees charged for CBDC transactions, unlike using your card, unlike doing transfers, unlike getting money when you get paid, all of that, right? There's fees and taxes on the fees, because every time you get charged a fee by the bank, there's a GCT that goes on it as well. CBDCs will reduce the cost of merchants and banks as the cost of associated with the handling and securing of cash are no longer an issue, right? No bank account is needed, so you don't need to go. Right now, it's so difficult to open a new bank account right now. The amount of paperwork that you have to do in order to get it is ridiculous, unless, of course, you have a national identification card, which is a new digital thing that they're pushing, right, where all your information is bundled onto one system. Right, so they're shepherding you into the new system, CBDC will allow for financial inclusion. By using CBDCs, persons who are unbanked, do not have a bank account, or are underbanked can become part of the financial system. Right, so this is the solution that's being pushed. But we know better. We know that this is the mechanism. Second Corinthians 2 verse 11 says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. We know the Hegelian dialectic. We know the playbook. Highlight the problem, right? The people react. The people are in outrage. Give them a solution. CBDCs, right? So ultimately what's going to happen is Revelation 13 verse 16, which we've read countless times and we will continue to read until it comes to pass. And he caused it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, which is what the implantable microchip, RFID microchip, right? Which the CBDCs and digital currency, centralized digital identity, is a key part of getting that into play, right? Because ultimately the CBDCs, the ultimate place that they want to end up is for your CBDC and your digital identity to be on a chip, a tiny microchip that's implanted in your body, right? And that no man might buy or sell save either that the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So this is just a quick hit, just update, the fellow believers. Till next time, Shalom.